everybody, we're David and Nikki Nellis, co-hosts of Foodie the Beast, the D.C. area's one and only food and wine variety show. You may have heard us on 1500 AM over the last couple of years, but we're bringing the show now to NBC4's Washington Nonstop.
And we have such a good show for you today. Now, you may have heard of Modernist Cuisine, the 2,400-page, 40-pound cookbook. We've got more on it with co-author Chris Young. And later in the show, we'll be talking with John Coco. He's with Rooftop Terrace, and they're doing a Virginia marketplace.
And the Food and Wine Festival is coming back to National Harbor May 14th. And we've got Greg Nievens and Mike Brannon in. Greg is pouring some of the spirits and brews they'll be serving there. And Mike's in talking about Roseda beef, and they'll be sampling that out there too.
This is Foodie the Beast. We have a great show for you. Stay tuned.
Planet Wine. It's like having your own wine cellar right in the heart of Del Rey. More than 700 bottles of domestic and imported wines offer something for every occasion and budget. For fine wines and more, there's a whole planet. Planet Wine in Del Rey. Nikki Nellis, and we've got Mike Brannon, Roseda Beef in with us, and we're talking about the International Food and Wine Festival that's coming up at National Harbor, and it's a monster. I mean, there are thousands of people there, and you're going to be cooking and sampling out there.
That's right. We're going to cook all kinds of brisket and just giving away hundreds of pounds of good beef.
Awesome. I'll be there.
Well, I want to talk about the spice competition. So there's a spice rub competition. Mel, you can speak to this a little bit. Tell us about it, because it has been extended so people can participate.
Yes, it's open to professional chefs.
What is it? Let's get the 411. It's called
the Spice My Steak Contest. It's sponsored and funded by the Beef Checkoff, which is the national promotion of consumption of beef, and we're talking about grilling and just spicing up steak this year. You can do pretty much anything with steak.
So what do people need to submit? What do they need to do?
Chefs, any professional cook, and instructors, cookbook authors, anybody.
Amateurs? Are we taking amateurs?
No, we're not taking amateurs.
No,
Sorry, amateurs.
Okay.
But this year we are choosing the best top 3 or 4 recipes. Chefs are going to be able to display or do a demo for an hour in the booth at the Beef Checkoff at the National Harbor Food and Wine Festival. And basically they just need to give us an original non-published recipe for a spice rub or a marinade to go on flank steak, which will be a Roseda beef flank steak. We'll provide the flank steak and some of the spices, and they'll come out and they'll cook. The finalists will come out and cook, and then everybody who comes to the National Harbor Food and Wine Festival on Sunday will be given a ballot for each one, and they get to rank them on a scale of 1 to 5. And then at the end of the day, who has the best,
or
they are the judges, just the public.
The public is judging.
Yep, and then
Sorry,
I like
Nikki,
to judge.
And the prizes are a wonderful Spice Mill trophy and a Roseda beef gift certificate.
Fabulous.
Yes.
I love that. Well, what?
I know you were pushing to be a judge.
I don't need to be a judge. I'm emceeing the day before. What do I need to judge for?
Come on out. You guys can
I know.
put your voice
well,
in too. You're good at judging. So.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Well, thanks, Mike. Thanks for coming down. We'll see you at National Harbor. Greg, let's get back to you and talk about, you've got a whiskey bourbon experience with Jim Beam out at the...
He's going beer first.
You going beer first?
So tell us about the beer garden.
Well, I got this for you. This is a wonderful Leffe Blonde.
Thank you.
I know it's
Blonde
natural.
curls.
It's wonderful. It's perfect.
How many shows in the world get to sit and just eat and drink for an hour?
I think some do. Not as many as ours. Yum.
Leffe Stella. One of the things that you will definitely see this year that will be different in the past is there's definitely a little bit more alcohol than there has been.
Okay.
And
do you think that brings in more people?
It's more of a mix of what we like. We like it because my whole staff is just like you, Nikki. We are food and alcohol beasts. We go everywhere, try it all, want to taste it all, and you may just get a little taste of something, but we want you to be able to do it. But there'll be 30 beers there, just by themselves, and then on the top of that list will be the Stella folks, and they have Leffe, and they have a very special serving process that they do where they have their glasses, very specialized glasses, and all of their national and international specialists are coming into the show, will pour your beer for you.
They'll scrape the top off.
Scrape the top off.
Like the ad.
Just like the ad. Yeah, it's really fantastic.
How much fun.
So that's what's happening in the beer world. We have the bourbon experience, which is sponsored by the Jim Beam Brands folks, and they will have we'll have whiskey, bourbon. They will have mixologists in there mixing up different drinks for you. There are, I think, 6 different tables of different bourbons and whiskeys that you'll be able to taste at the event. So
all right. Well, we're going to talk to our guest on the phone, but when we get back, we'll talk more about some whiskeys and bourbons that'll be at the Harbor's Food and Wine Festival. This is David and Nikki Nellis with Foodie and the Beast. We're going to talk more Modernist cuisine in just a sec.
The phrase neighborhood restaurant means convenience, but not necessarily style or good taste. But in DC's West End, Circle Bistro, Notte Bianche, and Dish Plus Drinks take neighborhood dining to new levels. Circle Bistro offers contemporary French-inspired cuisine. Dish has new twists on American classics. And Notte Bianche is the perfect Italian trattoria. The Kennedy Center is just steps away, so pre- and post-theater dining is enjoyable and convenient. Dish, Notte Bianche, and Circle Bistro. There's good taste in the neighborhood. So, Chef Chris Young, are you there?
I am here.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning, Chef. How are you?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Excellent. Well, we want to thank you so much for joining us. The cookbook has created such an amazing ripple effect in the food world. I mean, not just due to the length and the weight and the depth of what you have in there, but you went so far to visually portray the dishes. So let's just start at the very beginning. How did the concept of this book originate?
Well, really, the idea for the book started with a need that my co-author Nathan felt wasn't really being met by any book out there. There was a technique known as sous vide cooking. It was popular in high-end restaurants, but there was really very little good information about how to do it well, how to do it safely, and more importantly, how can you do it in sometimes without expensive equipment? How can it be applicable for people other than restaurant chefs? So it started out as a book about sous vide cooking, but as we sat down to outline it, we kind of went, there's a lot to say about traditional cooking, about other techniques being pioneered in leading restaurants, and really just to explain the story of cooking in a way that had never been told before. We really wanted to look at the science and technology aspect and how that applies both to professional chefs and home cooks.
Well,
so, Chef, let me ask you this. Nathan Myhrvold, am I pronouncing his last name correctly?
Yes, that's correct.
Right. Nathan is the former chief technical officer at Microsoft, so I have to ask, how did you connect with him?
Nathan, while I was running the experimental kitchen at the Fat Duck in London, a three-star restaurant outside of London, Nathan was a guest, and I ran our experimental kitchens. He had asked for a tour, and prior to becoming a chef, I'd been a scientist. I'd been in Seattle for a number of years, and so I considered that home, I suppose. And so Nathan said, "Hey, when you're back in Seattle, why don't you come out and hang out in my kitchen, and we'll do some experiments and have fun." So we sort of struck up a friendship over our passion for cooking and for really understanding new ways to do things. And really a lot of it was actually for our passion for barbecue. We used to share a lot of ideas for new ways to do traditional barbecue.
All right, I'm going to take you back to Modernist Cuisine, the process or the project, because a 6-volume, 2,500-page piece is quite an undertaking. Tell us a little bit about the creative process that, because I'm betting that what you started out with conceptually is not what you ended up with because things change.
Yeah, I think we had no adult supervision, so that's kind of why you get a.
No, you're not going to get that here,
book.
pal.
Well, I prefer it that way. You're right that ultimately our vision for the book was quite a bit smaller, but the problem is over time we built up a fantastic team. My co-author Max came with me from the Fat Duck. We have a number of talented chefs on our team, and they all brought really fantastic ideas. And we finished a big map of showing the different regional styles of barbecue. And then one of our cooks is from India, and she goes, "Oh, well, we could do the same thing for curries." And of course we said, "No, Ange, no, we don't have time. We've got to finish the book."
Yeah, we only have 6 volumes and 2,500 pages.
Yeah, well, this is why we have 6 volumes, is we're lousy at saying no, and we didn't have the traditional sort of publishing limitations of a publisher coming and saying, "That's enough. We can't bind more than 300 pages. You're taking too long. You've got to print what you've got." We kind of kept going a lot longer anyway, and so the result is, yes, we ended up with 6 volumes, but I think that's what makes it so fascinating and interesting, is just how comprehensive and how many interesting and unusual things are packed in those pages.
Well, let's talk about the photography in those pages, because the pictures are outrageous. I mean, there is a picture of broccoli under boiling water. How did you, and it's cut, the pot is just cut in half. I mean, we got sound effects in our studio.
We spent all morning looking for a buzzsaw sound effect.
I didn't, but clearly the people who are unsupervised here did.
Yes, the young kids.
So how did you guys do that, and how many pots and pans did you have to cut in half to make it look right?
Well, we cut about half the kitchen in half. We have two halves of one of the greatest kitchens on the planet. Mm-hmm. We used we have a machine shop at our facility, so we did use a water jet in that case to cut the pot in half. And
well, are you like Moses? How did you keep the water parted like that and take the shot?
Well, the water was added later. One half of the pot had a piece of Pyrex glass glued onto it, and the water was put behind it and photographed. And then the other half had pieces of broccoli that were blanched and cut in half and held together with toothpicks, and we composited the photos together. And then it's a lot like a guy flying in a movie. Everyone knows he's on a wire, but it's been digitally removed.
Right.
We went and digitally removed those toothpicks.
Wait, you're saying they're not flying?
So it was magic. So it looks like magic.
It's a bit of photographic magic, but everything really did get cooked and everything really did get cut in half.
Very cool.
This wasn't driven by a bunch of focus groups. This was really the passion that Nathan and myself and our team, Max, and the rest of the guys in our kitchen, we kind of wanted to have the book that we always wish existed. And we sort of took a no-holds-barred approach of we cover, how to braise or how to grill a steak, but we also cover how to use a freeze dryer, how to use high-speed centrifuges, which
high-speed
not everybody knows.
Isn't that the thing they use?
Can you say that again?
They use those on CSI, right?
Right, they do. And so we had a policy of not dumbing things down. And while 80% or so of the recipes are probably doable in any home kitchen without a lot of special equipment, 20% of them, they're out of the reach for most people. But I personally think it's kind of interesting to know how this stuff works and how people use it, and I think that's kind of cool. So sure, there's some people that say, oh, well, it's not practical, you need a freeze dryer. It's okay if you can't do that recipe. I still think it's a cool thing to know how those strawberries in my cereal are freeze dried. I personally find that interesting, and I guess I hope there's a few other people who are a little bit passionate and crazy about food that would also find it interesting.
Well, I think given the fact that the first 6,000 copies sold out, and now you are reprinting 25,000 more, I think you have an answer to that. Clearly, people want this book.
All right, so listen, Chris, unfortunately, we got to wrap up. I wish we could do an hour of this. Oh. Tell everybody where they're going to be able to find the books
when they're out again.
You can find this book. We hope to have new copies out in late June. Any bookstore can order it, but you'll find it at Amazon. You'll find it at Barnes and Noble, and even in a few Barnes and Noble store. But any cookbook store can also order this, and hopefully you'll see it in some cooking stores later this year as well.
And can you just give everybody where the blog is, because you guys have a website and a blog, right?
The website and blog is at modernistcuisine.com, all one word, and that's Modernist Cuisine with a T on Modernist.
Excellent. Well, thank you for joining us.
I just want you to know, in tribute to you, I'm going home and I'm going to do some duck fat shooters.
How about it?
Fantastic.
All right, Chef, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you very much.
All right, this is David and Nikki Nellis with Foodie and the Beast. We're digging into Bloody Marys. We're going to talk more National Harbor in just a bit. We'll be right back.
It's fresh and sweet.
Planet Wine in Del Rey is more than just 700 great wines. There's also a stellar selection of craft beers picked by Greg Engert, one of Food & Wine's favorite beer experts, and artisan charcuterie from Red Apron. For fine wines, beers, and more, there's a whole planet. Planet Wine in Del Rey. Before we get back to John Coco, I just want to thank the people that make this show possible, our sponsors and friends, Georgetown Bagelry, all the Neighborhood Restaurant Group. What was that? All the Neighborhood Restaurant Group restaurants, Rustico, the two of them, Evening Star, Tallulah Vermilion, Buzz Bakery, Columbia Firehouse, Birch and Barley, and Church Key. What, are you my echo?
I'm the echo.
Founding Farmers, Farmers and Fishers. Hello to John Arroyo. A shout out to him. A big shout out to the Modus Hospitality people and Notte Bianchi, Dish, and Circle Bistro. And our newest sponsor, Charles Schwartz & Son. And a shout out to our buddy Adam Hurst, and only he knows why we're shouting out to him.
Why are we shouting out to him?
Because he's a good man.
Oh, okay.
Hi, Adam. So let's get back to John Coco. John,
let's just give everybody the 411. Like,
Sure.
Where to buy tickets, how much it cost, when, where, the whole thing.
It's Wednesday, May 11th from 6 to 8 p.m. in the Roof Terrace restaurant at the Kennedy Center. You can go to opentable.com and buy tickets there, or you can call 202-416-8555 is the direct line to the restaurant.
And how much are tickets?
They're $40 per person.
Okay.
And the book signing from Mary McDonough is actually free. You can go and get a book signed. I believe they're $25 each for the book. But it's a great night. It's going to be a wonderful atmosphere. Lots of great food, music, tons of libations.
$40 is a good deal.
Yeah.
That's great.
We want to keep it affordable for everyone and keep it fun and casual.
Will she tell us if Grandma and Grandpa Walton were really a couple off screen?
I'm looking forward to the insider secrets myself.
I was going to say, I never even watched
I heard they were hot for each other. I just want to know.
All right. Well, John, thank you so much for coming in. Greg, we're going to go back
me.
to you. What did you just pour?
Oh gosh, I think I passed you rum punch from
That was rum punch?
Cuisine number 9.
Okay, what is Cuisine number 9?
It's their new spice rum. It's fantastic. It's Cuisine rums, and they have all their flavor. They'll have all their flavors at the show.
Okay.
And they're taking over the beach at National Harbor. If you're used to seeing
where the giants coming out of
the Awakening.
The Awakening is so
coming
fabulous.
out. So on one half we have a rum bar, and on the other half we have Land Shark Lager.
Okay.
And they have the other half of the beach. And lots of steel drum music. It should be fun.
Is that the beach lounge? Is that what the whole thing is called?
That is the beach lounge.
Fun.
And there will be lovely tables and fun things there.
Should I come in my Speedo or just...
No.
Please
People will be eating.
All right.
Love it.
Well, listen, that's May, I want to do it right, May 14 and 15 out at the National Harbor, the International Food and Wine Festival.
You can see it online at wineandfoodnh.com.
All right.
It's all over the list.
Drinkeatrelax.com.
All right. Well, if you think we told you a lot about what's going on in D.C., you ain't heard 99% of it. There's so much more to know about. Check out the list, areyouonit.com. It's free to subscribe. It's got it's got hundreds of events and information about restaurant specials. Go there.
Well, we'll quickly thank our guests, Chris Young, Greg Nievens, John Coco, and Mike Brannon. We had a fantastic show, and next week's show is going to be even better. May is Celiac Awareness Month. We're going to be talking about that, and we'll have Todd and Ellen Gray in talking about their new restaurant, Watershed.
Yeah, and Erin McKenna from Baby Cakes Bakery in New York is coming on. She's got a new book.
Yep, we got to go.
And we got to go. Have a good week.
Have a delicious week.